Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Terraform and installation and configuration of Terraform on Windows machine and basic Terraform commands and what is Terraform, what is infrastructure and how to execute Terraform. Those details we will see. So first of all, what is Terraform is? Terraform is a open source infrastructure as a code software tool. So if you want to create any infrastructure or update infrastructure or we need infrastructure to modify update, we need to write the code and we can execute. So what Terraform does is like if you want to create package and to be deployed on the cluster or environment, if it is not there, it will be create environment. It should be provision the infrastructure and it should be deployed. So what is infrastructure as a code? Basically, the idea behind is like we can write and execute the code and define, update, destroy your infrastructure using code to create any environment in virtual infrastructure or in the cloud or hypervisor anywhere in the VMware. To automate infrastructure, we need some kind of tools like provision. The infrastructure we have AWS Cloud Formation and Azure also we have Azure templates and GCP will have different cloud providers. So in digital ocean we have separate one. To solve this problem, Asikar will come up with the Terraform. This Terraform will support multiple cloud providers. And not only AWS Azure, it will be supported different cloud providers like GCP, all those things. So even this Terraform will support different uh, providers and it will be more maintainable and more dynamic. So if you write the Terraform configuration files, once it execute, automatically it should be created the infrastructure or update the infrastructure. Depends on your configurations and those it should be work. To install Terraform on Windows machine, it is straightforward and we can set the path of the environment variables. So let's check whether Terraform installed on this machine. So the command is terraform-version. So Terraform is not installed. To install Terraform, just you need to do terraform.io and downloads. This is the official documentation of Terraform. So if you have used Windows, just select your OS version like 386 or AMD 64. Mine is AMD 64. Just download. If you have used Mac OS, you can use these commands. If you are using Linux or in Linux also we have different flavors right like Ubuntu, Debian, CentOS, RHEL, Fedora, Amazon Linux. We have different commands. So currently I am installing the Terraform on Windows machine. So once you have downloaded, you will get a zip file. You need to extract this zip file. So under user, I'm creating one folder, Terraform ISCR. So here it will be extracted, that software, the tool. You just need to set the path, edit system environment variables, and system variables. You have to set the path. Just double click new, add the entry, say OK, OK, OK. So once you have installed Terraform, suppose I need to provision the AWS in infrastructure, I need AWS CLI to be installed on this machine, right? So I just install AWS CLI and to check install AWS CLI successfully or not, just use AWS CLI hyphen version. It is installed. So installed AWS CLI on this machine. It is straightforward. You will download the tool. So depends on OS. You just need to select. Mine is Windows. I downloaded this zip file, MSI file, and double click. Once it is installed successfully, just need to check hyphen version. When you install AWS CLI, by default it will set the path. You don't need to set path manually. So once that is done, you need to configure AWS configure. Like you need to create IAM user. It will give you the secret key and ID and access key ID. So I have created AWS DevOps user and I got these credentials, access key ID and secret key ID. So I have done those configuration. When you provision the Terraform, it will look for that AWS configuration details and it will take that access key ID and secret key ID region. So it will be create your infrastructure. Now, once this is done, you need some tool uh, to write the Terraform code. You can write in Notepad also, but Visual Studio is the best to write the Terraform code. Let me install Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio is for .NET. Visual Studio Code is IAC, and this is the tool. Depends on OS. You just need to install. Mine is Windows. Just select this one. So just double click, accept. If you need desktop on this item, just click this one. Otherwise, say OK. So it should be installed app data local programs Visual Studio. So once you have installed successfully, you just need to add the extensions like plugins. It will be supported Terraform related. So just type Terraform. It will see if you install this Terraform related plugins. So it will give you suggestions and you can able to see the extensions also. Now you have to create a workspace and write the Terraform file, Terraform code. Now let me open the folder. So let me create one folder, Terraform code. So here I will write all my Terraform configuration files. Now let me write the file. The file name should be anything, but the extension should be .tf. So I am going to write main.tf. See, if you didn't provide, it should be the main is not a valid as a file or folder name. Please choose different name. So I am giving provider. Any name should be fine. ABC also fine. ABC. But the extension should be .tf. Okay. Main.tf. So basically the Terraform will have terminology. We have different three different terminology. One is provider and resources and data sources. So the first one is Terraform provider. The Terraform provider is tells where your infrastructure should be created, either AWS or Azure or GCP. Okay, that is the providers will tell you. The provider session and resources and data sources. The providers will specify the Terraform where to create infrastructure, and the resources are the core elements, which resource you want it to be created, either S3 or VPC, EC2. And in this resource, we have called attributes and arguments. The inputs we specify to the resource is called as arguments. And when you create the resource using Terraform, we specify some output of the resource, which will called as attributes. Okay. The outputs referred as attributes and the inputs referred as arguments. And data sources is to help to querying some information from the Terraform configuration file. The syntax is to provide this to specify the providers. The syntax is the provider and name of the provider. And see if you give just provider, so it will give some suggestions, right? See AWS. This is the provider. AWS is the provider where I have created my infrastructure. Now, in this AWS provider, I just where our infrastructure should be created, which region I need to provision my infrastructure. So, region equal to US East 1. So basically, you can directly configure access key ID and secret access key ID directly here. But if you look the code, someone will take your access key ID and this user access key ID, secret key ID, and it will destroy your infrastructure. It misused your infrastructure. So we are not configure here, and while running the Terraform commands, it will look for the dot configuration. So I have already configured as shown in the previous example. So it will look for dot config. It will have the access key ID and secret key ID and the region also to show that one. Users username dot AWS, and here the credentials will have. It will have that access key ID and the secret access key ID. It will take these credentials and it will should be configured. The region is default region, and the form output should be JSON. Now we need to create the resource. Which resource you need to create? So I need to create S3 bucket. So basically, how we will create the S3 bucket? We will go to AWS console and create S3 bucket. Suppose I want to create S3 bucket. So create bucket, we will select, and we will provide the bucket name and the region and ACLs, whether should be public or private. You need public access, private access, and bucket versioning. Those details, what are the mandatory details you need, you can configure. But so now whatever we are doing from the UI, we are doing from the resource like Terraform code. From here we are creating. Now the resource name of the attribute and the name. The syntax is to create the resource. So we need the resource type and the resource name. So resource type is AWS underscore S3 bucket, and name of I'm giving is BC Reddy. Any name you can give. BC Reddy bucket. Okay. Or my bucket. Anything you can give. So the argument, which argument you need to pass. Okay. So we need bucket name, right? Bucket equal to. So any name. So I'm giving BC Reddy Terraform bucket and ACL. So whether you need private or public to access this bucket, it should be publicly accessed or privately accessed. So I'm giving currently in private. This is the simple code. I need to create a bucket. We have different options also where are the mandatory. If you want to see um, the code of Terraform S3 bucket. This is the official documentation of Terraform code. So it will look the attributes and those configurations, everything you can able to see here. So provider, the resource is AWS S3 bucket and the bucket name you can give, and if you want to provide the tags also you can provide the tags. Just tags. Just save. Okay. Now try to run this one. So select terminal or wherever you're created the workspace, right? You can go here also. Terraform code. Here you can right click or CMD and you can do Terraform init, Terraform validate, Terraform plan, those details. Otherwise, you can directly run the commands here also. So new terminal, see, first you can check Terraform version. So already Terraform installed. Now first it will be use the Terraform init. So it will be downloaded the resources plugins, the AWS plugins it should be downloaded where the infrastructure is provision. Now Terraform init is successfully created. If you see, if you observe, In the Terraform workspace, it should be created main.tf and Terraform dot log.html. Those files are created once Terraform is installed. Okay, now you need to validate this code. For that one, the command is Terraform validate. The configuration changes, it should be valid or not. If you have any errors, it will show here only itself. Now this configuration is valid. There is no validation warnings. There were some validation warnings shown in the above. Okay, we don't bother about this one. So if you want to see the what it is going to be showing preview, okay. So for that one, you the command is Terraform plan. If you apply Terraform plan, it will show you what are it should be going to be created. So it is saying you don't use the output option to this plan. So first we can see in the Terraform plan it is going to show you for this S3 related boxes it is going to be created. Plus means it should be created. Minus means it should be deleted. So first time we are doing right, it all plus grant access everything. Now what you need to do? Terraform apply. If you observe, currently we don't have terraform.tf state file. So when you try to apply, so it is backend, it is going to be created terraform state file. So those state file will have all the your resources configuration attributes details. So basically, when you apply terraform infrastructure, it will be create in the local state file. Terraform apply, it will ask you to enter. See, enter the value. Do you want perform this action? The Terraform will perform this action. Only yes, it will be accept and it should be approved. So I will say yes. See now Terraform state file it should be created. Now S3 bucket is creating. See the changes. One resource is added, zero changed and zero destroyed. If you go here in the S3 buckets, it should be created BC Reddy TF bucket. The bucket name is this one BC Reddy TF bucket. And if you see the properties, it should be private. Permissions, it's all blocked. Okay, it should be private. Now if you want to see the tags also we have provided. Matrix. But tags we can't able to see here. Yeah, tags. See the environment, dev, and the name of my bucket. Here only it should be there in the properties tags. Okay. So from here it should be created. Now again if you apply the Terraform apply command if you do, we haven't do nothing here. We haven't modified any code here. and we are trying to do the Terraform apply. We'll see what output we'll get. See, it's saying no changes. Your infrastructure matches the configuration. The Terraform has compared real infrastructure against your configuration and found no differences. No such changes are needed. So this Terraform state file, it will be have the same configuration whatever the real old means the UI S3. The configurations are matched from this UI to this Terraform state file. Okay, like bucket type, name of the bucket, and provider, and the ARN details, bucket name. These are the details it should be fetched. So whatever the mandatory fields we have, it will be provided, and optional fields by default it will be take the region, which region this bucket is created. US East one. So next time when you create or modify anything, it will look for the Terraform state file, and it will take the details, and it should, if any changes are there, it will be created or updated your infrastructure. The Terraform state file are very important. The state file content all the resource details created by the Terraform. Okay, the Terraform creates the state file automatically with the name of terraform.tfstate. Now the Terraform is created when you run Terraform apply the first time. Okay, this is the first time. Now suppose my Terraform state file is deleted. Okay, what will happen? Okay, so if you don't have Terraform TF state file in your local, the first time it should be created the resources again. This is the interview question. Mostly everyone will ask. So suppose let me delete the Terraform state file. Now already have the bucket name. Bucket is there. So bucket name is unique. We don't need to provide the same name. So let me change the bucket name bcrd bucket to, here I am giving QA or UAT environment. Okay, already backup also there. Let me delete this one as well. Now try to validate Terraform. Here no need to do Terraform init again. Terraform validate. So this configuration is valid. Now Terraform apply. It will ask you the enter the value. It will be created another bucket. If you go buckets, refresh, see one more bucket is created. Now let's try to delete one more time, and we don't make any changes, and let's see the Terraform TF state file is created. Let me delete this one. Terraform apply. Let's see whether the one more bucket will be created or not. We'll see. Just say yes. If you avoid enter automatically, just you need to do Terraform apply hyphen auto approve. See, it is creating the warning. The Amazon Simple Store bucket already exists. That's why I changed the bucket name. Okay, it is saying the bucket is already available. The Terraform state file, it will look for the details and it should be created. So in the VPC case, we can see this what is happening if your resource is deleted. So in the bucket name, it should be unique. That is why we are getting this issue where if you create the resources like VPC, there we are not getting this error. So this is the main state file. Like when you apply Terraform, it will be created the state file and it will look for the reference when you created the resource by the Terraform. The new set of resources is created again when you don't have the Terraform state file. Now suppose two developers are working on one infrastructure and they don't need to create they will keep see suppose in this Terraform state file in my local the other developers wanted to work on same infrastructure they need also this Terraform TF state file otherwise he will if you write he is writing the Terraform code and if you start executing again one more set of resources it will be created that is the not the case right so this state file instead of keeping the local this state file we can keep it in some backend means some location we will keep like either S3 it will have different backends supported by the Terraform like S3 Azure RM and console etcd Kubernetes it will be have different types of to avoid multiple use see even though if you at a time the both the developers are executing the Terraform apply so it will be created the conflicts okay the two developers are working on the same account and store the state file to access it will give you the some whoever the runs the first time it will be created those changes okay simultaneously if the state file is inconsistent okay inconsistent state now suppose I'm going to create one more bucket name here is prod just save and Terraform plan if you wanted to see what are the changes it is going to be updated means it will be preview before applying the Terraform it will preview see it is saying it is going to be created now Terraform apply if you no need to enter the value in the middle so you just need to do auto approve it won't ask you the prompt enter S so by default it should be created see one is added zero change zero destroy see now this time it doesn't ask you the enter the value see changes are applied successfully now if you refresh we have three buckets okay now this bucket have private access okay now you need to provide the public access. Even though if you see the configuration details, the Terraform state file will have three resources. If you observe here, S3 bucket, S3 bucket name it will have the latest changes. And if you apply, if you want to make some changes, suppose instead of ACL private, I want it to be public read. Just save. And if you wanted to see Terraform validate, the configuration which we did is correctly or not, it is configuration is valid. And if you wanted to see Terraform plan, see what it is going to change. That preview we can see. See if you observe here, the ACL it is going to be private to change it to public read. The ID is this one and resources. Okay. Now if you wanted to apply Terraform apply, you don't need to enter the value while running that one Terraform code. You say auto approve. Now previously it should be private. Now if you see, if you refresh buckets, so previously it should have private, right? Now if you see properties, it is publicly accessible. Permissions, see publicly accessible. Access should be public. If you see where other buckets, permissions, objects can be only public. Public access will be off. Now we will see how to this Terraform state file, instead of keeping in the local, we need to keep this state file in some common location. If you two developers are working, so it will be refer this state file when you create the infrastructure, whatever the resources are we are going to create. So in this case, Terraform will support at the backend. Okay, the concept is backend. Now, if you wanted to see the resources, okay, how many resources are there to check Terraform, how many state files are there? Terraform state list. Only one bucket it is there. So if you wanted to see this configuration of state, show and the resource ID, you can able to see the details. Now we will see the backend, Terraform backend. Why we need the backend? Suppose the Terraform, when you apply it, right, it is create the infrastructure, and the state file it should be in our local. So when multiple users are executing the Terraform on multiple machines, it is also lead to create multiple target infrastructures, which is not ideal. Okay. So the solution for this, we create store we can store the state file in some common location, which is referred as a backend. Okay. So even though multiple users try to apply to leads same infrastructure, it will be created again some resources, different resources it will be created. To avoid multiple users writing to the state file same time, the Terraform implemented is locking. So even though if you keep the backend some location, so if multiple developers are executing the same time, so it will give you the inconsistencies. Okay. To avoid that one, we need to do locking. Locking, if you apply right, at a time one developer can execute, and once that is done, it will be release the lock, and other developer can perform at a time. If you try to do also, it will not work. That is the reason we are working the locking. The Terraform supports different type of backends like local, remote, Artifactory, Azure RM, console. As I said, different types. Now we are going with S3. So currently the state file in my local, I am going to keep in S3. If you see Terraform S3 bucket backend, so we are going to apply lock the Terraform backend and the bucket name and the key and the region. These are the details we just need to provide. So backend is S3, bucket name. I am giving my bucket name and the key. If you need to provide any key, or you can give you the name, means the Terraform, or I can say BC Reddy TF state file and TF state file. Any name you can give and the region. So to work on backend S3, it will look for the DynamoDB table should be mandatory. That is the important. So the properties to apply locking. Okay. If you observe the DynamoDB state lock, so it will be create DynamoDB table, and we have to create the ID. So now go to DynamoDB, create table, the table name, anything you can provide, BC Reddy, TF Terraform table, DB table, and the partition key ID. This is the mandatory which you just need to provide the same as lock ID. Okay, it should be string, and the same you need to provide like this only, and remaining all are optional. You just need to create table, and this is the table name. The field should be backend, right? So you just need to provide like this DynamoDB table and the table name. Table equal to whatever the table you created. Table name you just need to do. Just save. Now if you try to do Terraform apply, so we are providing Terraform. So what it is saying, initial configuration of S3 required. So it is asking you need to run Terraform init. So we are applying backend Terraform backend Terraform, sorry, init need to run. So it is initializing again the backend related things. So it is initializing backend. Now you need to say yes. Do you want to copy to S3? Yes. My state file should be configured in backend. So releasing state log. This may take few minutes. Successfully configured in S3 automatically. Now initialize the plugins. Everything is success. Now if you see the state file, it should be available in S3. If you go S3, so which bucket we have provided in S3, the state file is available here. So if you wanted to see all the details, you can download. It is downloaded. Where it is downloaded? See, these are the configurations. The same configurations which we have in the previously local, the resources details in the TF state. This it will be. When you try to run again the Terraform apply, the first thing is it will look for the Terraform state file. What are the configurations are available? Now it should be created. Based on that, it will be updated. So like this is the basic Terraform creation and installation and configurations, how to provide the lock and how to provide the backend, those details. If you like the video, please share and subscribe. We will do more videos on Terraform. That's all about in this session. Thanks for watching.